Okay, so Will, in what ways does our media product use, develop, or challenge forms and conventions of real media products?
We followed the conventions of a psychological thriller. Our inspiration was from Born Identity, which was part of a three-part trilogy that was made in 2002. We used a variety of shots to create editing, sound, and mise en scène because we needed to create a certain feel to our film as it was a psychological thriller, so we needed to kind of set the scene of that kind of thrillery aspect. We show an obvious protagonist throughout our opening, and we used the editing to build tension. For example, I made my own music for the opening of the film, which we used to kind of create. We used the music side of the opening to create the tension until the old lady is seen in the window, which is what kind of when the opening ends, and it challenges in the conventions because it's in broad daylight, and a usual thriller is kind of set in kind of nighttime with like dark lights to kind of they use that kind of mise en scène to create their scene, but ours challenges that as it's in broad daylight in a kind of standard cafe. How does our media product present particular social groups, Molly?
Social groups is shown through our main protagonist, who is a 17-year-old but is playing a 25-year-old, as you can see here. We decided this as a group to connect to our 12 to 25 audience. So the younger actor can meet, like, the audience can understand him more. We wanted Will, who played Michael, to show that he's middle class through his costume, as you can see here. That is, and we planned it in our mood
With the
board.
suit and stuff.
Yeah, the suit, yeah. And his shoes, and also he has an office job, and also his phone that he shows. He shows when he gets a text from the bank. It's like a Samsung. It's quite a new edition, so it shows that he's quite a middle class.
He can afford to kind of that kind of
exactly.
thing.
Technology.
Josh, what kind of media institution might distribute your media product and why?
Okay, so we definitely see our film as the kind that Working Title would have produced back in the early days of their career. So, as a company, we also see ourselves in a similar way. So we're small, we're independent, we're self-funded as well, and we are British. So essentially, very much in common with Working Title. We would distribute the films that we produce ourselves. We'd also pay for distribution for other larger companies to distribute our films internationally, so that it has a wider audience appeal. So we do that,
TV
and then as well as TV, we would basically, as well as being distributed to cinemas, we also would be distributed through companies such as Film 4 on TV, because we think it's suitable for TV broadcast as well. So
it's suitable for an early kind of viewing on Saturday.
Saturday primetime TV.
Or Friday night.
It's only a 12.
Yeah, something which families can watch or older
family
people.
viewing.
So, Will.
Yep.
Who would our audience be for our media products?
Well, we followed the BBFC guidelines. Our film fits in to the 12 or 12A category. Our target audience was 12 to 25, so the kind of mainstream audience. We felt we chose this because we felt that age group can relate to the narrative more, because it's a young man working in the city. He's got a job. He's kind of middle class, and we felt that kind of age group would be in the same sort of situation as him. So that's why we chose it. Also the Born Identity, which was our inspiration, which is on the left of the screen now, was also a 12A, so that kind of played a part in our decision as well. Our film also has no sexual content, swearing, drug taking, violence or discrimination, which also is what the BBFC advise that is the 12 or sort of 12A category. What have you learnt about technologies from the process of constructing this product, Josh?
Firstly, my knowledge of the camera that we use has significantly increased. I think we have a picture here. This is I'm not sure this is the exact make, but it's very similar to the one we used.
No, I think it's the same.
It's all of us though. It's all of us. I've never used that camera before.
But it's quite professional, and I don't have that kind of camera at home. I only have small ones, so I've never really used that before, and now I feel much more comfortable in focusing, setting it up, navigating through like the footage that we filmed.
Yeah.
Selecting which is good, what's not good.
Mhm.
I feel much more comfortable in using it with a tripod as well, and just tripods in general. I've not really had much experience with those before. I didn't
We just
really-
had experience with kind of phone cameras and stuff.
Yeah.
didn't we?
yeah,
That was
exactly.
kind of our.
Definitely. I feel much more confident. Also, getting the footage from the SD card inside, so transferring the data from the camera onto the computer and loading it into programs such as Final Cut, which we used. I feel a lot better, because of my passion for technology. Personally, I think these were my most beneficial areas in the whole process. How do we attract or address our audience?
Well, we started by when we first showed our main protagonist. We showed quite a long shot when he, I don't know.
At the beginning?
Yeah, at the very beginning when he's
Yeah.
like walking that bit. So it's kind of walking in the park, and so the audience can identify like the location and where he is, and also like the genre. So it's like a kind of a thriller type. Also, naming our thriller "Stolen Existence" shows the audience. It's kind of there, yeah.
There we are.
Shows the audience about the story. His identity is being stolen. Also sets the mood, and it's also kind of shows it's more psychological than like a horror or a,
Yeah.
or what's another like any other type of
Like a kind of a scary kind of.
Yeah. There's more
Yes,
thought
movie,
to it.
yeah.
It's more
Also,
narrative,
we ended our opening with a cliffhanger, so it kind of draws more of the audience in.
So,
They
yeah.
also, like this here.
Cliffhanger of the woman.
Yeah, and it also draws in more audiences because they're like, oh, what's going to happen next? I wonder who this woman is, what she's doing in his house. So yeah.
Chose
Will,
an old lady as well because it was a bit.
yeah, it's a bit creepier.
Suspected.
Yeah.
Looking back on our preliminary task, how do you feel you have learned and progression from it to the full product?
Well, I think we've all learned about the different types of kind of techniques used in film. For example, like 180-degree rule and shot reverse shot. 180-degree rule is when you, as shown in our preliminary task here, is when you have to stay on one side of the line. You have an axis between the two characters or objects that you're filming, and you have to stay on one side of that line, otherwise it disorientates the audience or kind of
it's confusing.
it's like a kind of awkward kind of feel to the shot. A shot reverse shot is, as shown here, is when you have a shot over the shoulder with their kind of head in
the screen,
the screen.
Inside.
It's when they're having a conversation with the other
and they can like see each other's
character.
reactions.
Yeah, exactly. Also, we've learned a lot about lighting, sound, and camera. Our lighting was in. We didn't really have many lights. We kind of just used natural light.
And it's quite harsh.
Yeah, it was quite harsh. Yeah, and our storyline was a boy getting interviewed in a sixth form, and he just wanted to do rugby. Basically, he loves rugby.
Just rugby.
Really wondered.
It's kind of we tried to make it funny, but I didn't. Really
No, it doesn't.
but we got the job done.
Spontaneous. No.
Yeah, I think we've all progressed from the preliminary task. I think it's helped us to kind of cover our story, location, characters, and mise en scène more carefully.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree.
Cool.
Definitely.
Yes. Thank you.